we go. Wow, look at all the mud ruts in here from the roll-off truck. It's like 4 inches on either side. So I put a bunch of the bark that was on the ground there that's pretty dry. This stuff is relatively dry here too. Some elm bark that was on some of this wood that's been back here for months. And I have some really old gas. I know people are going to frown upon the old gas, but you know what? I bought this dirt cheap during the beginning of the pandemic. So anyways, let's pour some of this on. Did I add any oil to this? Doesn't matter, but I think I did for some reason. I can't really see. I'll see when I pour it. Stuff's going to smell bad. There's like this non-toxic silicon or silica or whatever. Yeah, there is some oil in it. It's going to stink for a bit, but then it'll burn off. And then a lot of this ground in here is actually crushed asphalt. Like I was saying, the ruts up there, it looks like so much mud you wouldn't even think it's crushed asphalt, but you can smell it if you're having a fire in here. So I'm going to light some birch bark and I'm going to get this thing going. And yes, this is super gas, so real discount. You know, I got it at Costco, which is cheaper than all the other stores. Let's get this going. There we go. I forgot to bang in the little holes I made. I made these triangle cuts in the side so that it could get ventilation. You could bend them in and out if you want to get it to breathe more or not. So I guess what I got to poke in there, just the axe. And I wonder if cutting them in a circle like this and the way the air is flowing through, I wonder if that's going to create like the little vortex effect, you know? I didn't cut all the way. They're good enough. I got lots of bark to burn too. I'll get this fire hot so I can burn off that whatever stuff is in the bottom. It's burning pretty good. I don't know if that stuff is doing the job on the bottom. All that paint on the inside is going to burn off too. We got a little bit of wind, so that's all right. Wow, this stuff is really smoking. But it's going good, so hopefully it doesn't smoke too long. All right, that's burning a lot better. It's smoking a lot before. That bark's starting to really go now, so that burned down for a bit, and I'll put some more. Lots of kindling here, probably a full bag. Lots of black locust bark in here too. That makes really good kindling. For the out pile, so keep it in the wheelbarrow until it gets sold. This stuff's nice and dry. And I'm going to take what's in here, whatever semi-dry, I'm going to throw back in these 2 crates. Hopefully I sell it before it rains, but I'll put a piece of tarp over it anyway. Actually, let me check on these crates over here, because these weren't getting air circulation. Now this is a testament to you having to get enough wind on your wood. because this wood just wasn't drying. This, I can't remember how long this has been here for, but it's been here a long time. And actually, even this piece of walnut dries pretty quick. Even this piece still feels kind of heavy. Let's check out some of these other pieces. That's elm. It doesn't feel so bad. It feels pretty dry. Sometimes the elm, you know, the tree's already dead, right? So there's already less moisture, but that's totally dry. There's a big piece of elm right here. This will kind of give us a gauge here. Is this? No, this is black locust. Yeah, it's still yellow. That's actually pretty good. That's a thick piece, and that stuff can hold the moisture sometimes. Sometimes it'll dry quick, sometimes it won't. Sometimes that wood comes in really dense, sometimes it doesn't. How about here's another test. Here's some red oak. And if you've seen some of my other videos about telling how dry wood is, like this isn't making that nice clink, clink sound. It's like clack, clack, clack. And you want it to almost ping when you're clapping it together. Here's a piece that's probably drier. It's a little small. Let's test it with another really dry one. See, there's the sound you want. Let's get the other one. The oak and the walnut. See, it's like a thud. It's not clicking, making that high-pitched sound. And this oak piece could dry some more, I'll tell you that too. So that's getting there. But now all this wood is going to have some air circulation. And I got another crate here where I've actually been adding in some of the stuff that's been like half dry. So I'll leave this loose so that it can dry better. This is some oak. It's a little bit rotten. It doesn't have its density. But this piece is actually dry. I can put this with the dry piece and, you know, I'll spread it out. I won't give them a ton of these, right? There's only a few in here, right? And there's a piece of honey locust. That's actually from, I think this is from what I had before for sale. And I threw it back in here because I missed out or something. Yeah, you see there's that clink sound. There's a piece of elm. Honey locust probably just needs a little bit to dry. Now this stuff takes forever to dry. That stuff is the worst, man. There's some black locust, or no, sorry, this is mulberry. Yeah, and this is semi-dry. I'm thinking I sell this in like January. That's when this will be ready. And I've seen a bunch of oak, but there's some pieces with a little more density. And then the outside edges, a lot of times when you have these oak trees that are rotten inside, sometimes the outside edge will be good. So that's pretty dry right there. What's this, sugar maple? Oh, that's getting there. Yeah, so that is, maybe what I'll do is I'll put a couple crates on top, some empty ones, so that it keeps the wood drier. Because it is the precipitation season, so there's going to be more snow coming. It's supposed to be a milder winter, so that means more snow. I actually started off this order with some really big pieces for my next customer, but then he held off for a bit, and then I had this other customer who I just delivered the load to. He didn't want such big pieces, so some of this stuff I gotta split and make it smaller. Some of it I gotta cut short, like all those pieces over there, that stuff's all too long. There, another battery. How much battery life left? It says 91. I think in the truck the batteries aren't charging that well in the Tahoe, because my work truck is down and I had an oil cooler line blow because the engine mount went. I believe that's a repercussion from my my turbo is leaking, so the truck starts really rough in the morning and there's tons of smoke. It's all coming out from under the hood and everything. So I think all that shaking blew the motor mount, which was done a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago. probably exactly what it is. I guess it's a guarantee that a lot of this ash is just going to go right in that crate. And I do like to spread my wood out. This piece is a little thick even though it's ash. I'll put it in there, whatever. Yeah, I got all these craggy pieces of sugar maple over there, and I like to mix my crates. So maybe I'll start another one after this. But a lot of this black locust is going to go in there. I'm wondering why I put some of these pieces, because some of these are pretty straight, you know, but maybe I didn't have a crate that was ready to go for these. It's a big piece of red oak. Let me split this open. I gotta go over there and stack up that crate. I have a bunch of wood on the ground that was soaking in the water because we had so much rain. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I just actually took the rake out. Let me show you. I just took the rake out and I smoothed this all out. It did pretty good. Not perfect, but I mean, it looks all level anyway. There's a couple bumpy areas, but I mean, it's all good. But in the back there's a low spot. So all this water, or all the wood was sitting in all this water. But it did dry up the next day. Wondering about this piece of oak. Yeah, I guess this can go back there. It's a little thick. It can't go up here. So I'll get that crate filled. But this conveyor, I might be obsoleting it. I'm actually going to get the motor on this going tomorrow. I got the gas motor. So, yeah, I'll open that up. And I'll get that running. And I'll decide what I'm going to do, because if I have the bin here, I was going to buy the bin. But then the landlord, or sorry, but then the guy who owns the bin, I thought he said $1,000 for the bin. He said $6,000. I said, well, no, I don't really want to pay that much. The fire's really going now. The barrel's nice and red. The paint is burnt off. And I'll see how much bark I can burn off. I got another bin that I just started back there. I just hate starting these totes. Once they're started, it's okay. That feels pretty dry, yeah. That's a piece of ash. Some of this sugar maple is like semi-dry because this is all the sugar maple that sat here since, I guess, the beginning of the summer. It's just been at the back here. That's semi-dry too. That's a piece of ash. Yeah, I'll transfer those over to the other crate over there. This was not too bad. You just gotta start the bottom in a corner, and then you try and start the other side too. Get a bunch packed away. Then you start working. Sometimes you have to pile it pretty high over here on the one side before you can actually start getting some of this stacked up wood, you know, into the pile, right? I think what's going on here is I have more patience than a lot of people, but I'm also short on space, so this helps. But I just had a eureka moment today. I thought, why don't I stack wood between the IBC totes? So I can actually grab a bunch of skids tomorrow, because there's a whole bunch of them from the guy who got kicked out in front of the Woodyard here. There's all kinds of skids. So what I was thinking was making rows between a set of IBC totes. So I'm just thinking now, yeah, you see, you also have to think in what order you're going to stack the wood, because I can put all the wood I want in front of the totes, but then when you want to sell the wood, then you know you got to work over the wood pile, right? So, or over the wood stacks that are in front of them. So it's always logistics in the Woodyard that you got to work out, you know. And it kind of bugs me just thinking about how you have to, you know, every year it's different, and every year everything changes, and you got to think about what you're putting where, you know. Stacking these things are so time consuming, you know. Even recently when I was just filling the yeah, I'll put this aside too. Even when I was splitting the wood and putting it into the pile there, the wood goes so quick, because this whole summer and some of the fall I've been throwing my wood in the crates or in the wheelbarrow, and then I've been moving it over to the pile over there. But because I got to the back of the Woodyard and I've been splitting right beside the pile, it's just a big time difference you could see when you're splitting all that wood, and you don't have to use the wheelbarrow. Yeah, so you can just get through that wood so quickly if you can just throw it into the pile. So if I didn't have to use the IBC totes and I could just stack the wood beside where I'm splitting, that'd save me so much time, you know. So I'm going to start assessing things tomorrow once I get it cleaned up in here. But the Woodyard changes every year. It's a logistical nightmare because of the drying time. Whereas some wood is, you know, there's semi-dry, then there's dry, then there's stuff that, you know, let's say you want to separate the oak because, you know, you got a year to season it, maybe less. So you want to give it some real time because it's oak, you know. So you want to put that somewhere else. So you're always trying to figure out what you got to put where. Yeah, tomorrow when it's brighter out, I'm going to assess the situation in here, and I'm going to see where I can stack, you know, do some stacking outside. I'm not going to stack this tote too crazy because, like I said, the pieces are craggy a little bit, and that's why I don't like stacking the craggy stuff, you know. But it's better than selling it green, so you don't have to be perfect and, you know, put exactly, you know, well, these hold under a face cord, right? But you know, you get enough wood in there, that's good enough, right? You save the time, you just get it in there, you get it done. Stacking takes a little more time, so it probably works out evenly how much wood is in here. I've almost got it done here on one side. Okay, that's done. Got a few more pieces to spread out over here. I was hoping to finish this crate, so I probably will by the time I get through that other stack. So I got a couple totes started. This one's almost finished, just needs a few pieces. This one underneath needs a few, then I can start the next one. So I'll have two started there. Moved the little pile of wood that was on the floor here, and I put it with this pile, and I moved this pile over towards the edge. That looks like a face cord there, so all this is cleared up. This stuff's got to go back to the shop, so when I get my truck back on the road tomorrow, then hopefully by the end of the day I can get that over. This is when I thought I could just replace the oil cooler line and then top it up with oil and then get back on the road, but unfortunately the motor wouldn't turn at this point. I turned the key, it turned a little bit, and the next turn it just didn't turn because it was so cold. Because it was so cold and because I was waiting for parts for a couple of weeks, all the oil had dripped out and maybe burnt up too because it was low, and then, you know, it's just burning up in the cylinders. But the motor just wouldn't turn, and that's when I realized I need a new motor. Not even with the breaker bar and the crankshaft would the engine turn. I even hooked it up to a tow truck and put it in gear and tried to pull it, and it didn't do anything. And what's this here? Is this dry stuff? Yeah, that's dry stuff. So that'll go with that load over there. Yeah, this light's so bright, but it's still hard to see. The moon's not out anymore. I guess the moon is... I just saw a shooting star up that way. I wonder if I'll catch it on camera. It wasn't very bright. But anyways, I guess, you know what? The moon's behind the clouds because I see the cloud line just above the telephone pole there, or the power pole there. Yeah, so it's not as bright with the moon gone. And then back here, we got the burn barrel going, and I burned off quite a lot of junk. So I'm just waiting to stop smoking, and I'm just gonna go home. I didn't get to this stuff. This stuff's a little damp, so I didn't want to put it in. There's some sawdust too, which kind of inhibits the burn, so I didn't bother with that. But anyways, that's it. So yeah, tomorrow get the conveyor done. Hopefully I bring that wood over to the shop. Maybe somebody calls me for a delivery of wood. And what else do I want to do? I do want to split this, but I want to start breaking into Smoker City over here. All this smoker wood. And I'll do a few more bags. I'll put some into stock into my crates over there as well. And what else? Well, I guess in the evening time I'll just come back and I'll split some of this here. And then there's the cherry back there, which I guess I'm going to start a crate for that. And I'm probably going to start with a crate on the top row too. So if I need to sell that, it's not buried, right? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that good stuff.